Alright, what's up guys? Today I'm going to talk about this short that I did recently. In the video, I start off by doing a trap bar deadlift. Pretty conventional exercise. I actually prefer the trap bar deadlift because I do deadlifts on my back day. I do what Dorian Yates did. I do what Ronnie Coleman did. Yes, you can say that the deadlift is a great leg exercise and that your hamstrings are really taxed when doing this. Not going to argue with you there. But for me personally, I just feel like the deadlift is more appropriate for a back day because it is such a compound movement that works the entire posterior chain. And for me, it just feels like a great exercise to start my back day because I am targeting essentially every muscle in the back, especially with trap bar deadlift. Because with a regular barbell, not to talk shit about anybody that can deadlift like 3 times their body weight with a barbell. You're a beast. You're incredible. Don't want to fight you. Leave me alone. I got all the respect for you. But what I'll say to its disadvantage is the bar path is going to stop at your hips, right? So you can't really get your hands in a neutral position. Like with the trap bar, at least the hands can become in alignment with the hips, which to me, and the reason why I do it on back day, is it engages my back more. When you get your hands past your hips, you get more lat engagement, your shoulders are more pulled back, so you're working your traps. I just feel like you're getting a lot more bang for your buck with the trap bar as opposed to a regular barbell. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is that I want to talk about the Jefferson curl. Now, I get a lot of people in my comments that say, what the hell are you doing? Why are you rounding your back so much? You're going to get a herniated disc. You're going to have a slip disc. You're going to not walk by the time you're 40. Cool. Let me tell you a little story about myself. When I was in grade school, I would do a lot of stupid shit, as kids usually do. I would ride BMX bikes. I would try and do front flips, parkour, all that dumb crap. If you're great at it, cool. I was not so much great at it. I landed on my neck quite a bit. And then when I was doing wrestling in high school, I had a really bad neck injury that actually started affecting this shoulder and later led to a shoulder injury. And I ended up getting a lower back injury as well from wrestling. When I was a teenager, I believe I was 17, my doctor actually told me, hey, you're probably going to need back surgery by the time you're 19 because your back is that fucked up. And almost a decade later, I have not had any surgery. None. I've never had a surgery, ever. I dealt with a ton of pain. A ton. Like nights where I couldn't sleep. I was just tossing and turning all night. There was a month where I spent weeks in bed because I couldn't walk. I don't say this to be dramatic. I don't say this to exaggerate. I'm not saying this to try and push what I have to say as hard as I'm going to say it. But I'm just speaking from my own personal experience. So when I show myself doing exercises like a Jefferson curl, I'm not doing it just to show off. I mean, I am proud that I can do an exercise like that because for me, I think it's really cool. But I'm also showing it because if you were a person like me and you had horrible pain, where like you were self-medicating every day, like I used to smoke a ton of weed just to deal with my pain. Like I would smoke, I kid you not, I would smoke an ounce a day at like 18 years old. And it wasn't until I started training my body through the fullest ranges of motion that I could, that my pain started to go away. To the point where I really don't have to take anything. You know, the only thing that I do is I might take a sleeping THC gummy at night just to help me sleep a little bit, but that's more due to the fact that I have a very restless mind. Like it's very hard for me to sleep in general because I just want to get up and do things. And I take some Advil or Tylenol, you know, if I need it. I prefer Tylenol, it's a little stronger. And that's only for migraines. That's not even for my back or my neck or my shoulder. That's just because I get random migraines sometimes. So I started doing Jefferson curls, and I kid you not, with that and training my neck, I literally do not deal with pain. I don't. I don't deal with it. That is me telling you personally my experience doing Jefferson curls and some other neck exercises, but primarily Jefferson curls. Like, even before I started training my neck, just doing Jefferson curls alone, my neck pain actually started going away. You hear these arguments from strongmen and people that compete in deadlift competitions all the time that the risk to reward ratio for doing a deadlift is not worth it.
If you're deadlifting to be a better deadlifter, fine. If you're not doing that for deadlift's sake, then don't fucking do it. The risk to reward ratio is a joke.
For deadlift?
For deadlift.
Yeah, a lot of people who compete in these deadlift competitions say don't deadlift. And that to me is incredibly shocking, as it is to a lot of sports, exercise sports scientists. Jeff Cavalier even said, hey, the deadlift is one of the most functional exercises you can do. It's literally you picking something off the ground. You're just picking something off the ground. How many times in your life do you pick something off the ground? All the time. So why would a strongman say that? Well, if you think about the logic of people like Mike Israetel, right? He'll say, you need to train in your deepest ranges of motion. You need to get that real deep stretch on an exercise because, number one, it stimulates the most hypertrophy, which in turn creates the most muscle growth. And there are studies that say that when you lengthen your hamstrings as deep as you can get them, you're less likely to tear a hamstring or injure yourself. So apply the same logic to your back, right? You do a deadlift. It is a back exercise, right? Because people have been using it as a back exercise for the back days. Like I just said before, Ronnie Coleman, Dorian Yates used it for their back days. So you're putting your spine under a tremendous amount of load, right? But it's not stretched by any sense of what the spine can do, right? Like if you really want to stretch your spine, you're going to do like a bent over hamstring stretch, right? And that is literally you just rounding your back, because what does that do? That lengthens your spinal erectors. The only way you can lengthen your spinal erectors is by rounding your back. When you do a deadlift, you put the spine under a tremendous amount of load, right? And that term neutral back, when someone says you need a deadlift with a neutral back, that's bullshit. Makes no sense. If the back was neutral, nothing in the back would be stimulated. If you say deadlift with a flat back, okay, that makes sense. But when you say neutral back, I don't understand what that means. Like when I think of neutral, I'm thinking none of those muscles are stimulated. I'm thinking, oh, this is just a leg exercise, right? Because the back isn't doing anything. No, when you deadlift a lot of weight, your back is going to feel it. It does not matter, right? You are going to feel it in your lats, in your lower back, all those spinal erector muscles, you're going to feel it there because it is a posterior movement. Great for the legs, but also pretty good for your back as well. So you deadlift a lot of weight, you do this over and over and over again, and you're never doing anything to lengthen your spinal erector muscles, and you're never doing anything to lengthen your hamstrings, at least to the fullest extent of how they can stretch. If you're doing like stiff-legged deadlifts and good mornings and stuff like that, I still don't think you are lengthening your hamstrings as much as you can, because the further your torso can go down towards the floor, the more your hamstrings are stretched. People are afraid to do the Jefferson curl because you are rounding your back so much. Now, I can understand why people would get scared to do that, because for years, decades, people have been saying, don't round your back. You're gonna hurt yourself. Okay, well, people also do bench presses with perfect form and tear their pec. So when we're talking about risk to reward ratios, there's always going to be some kind of risk with any kind of exercise that you do. You just have to ask yourself, do the risks outweigh the benefits? I would say with the Jefferson curl, the benefits far outweigh the risks. And I'll tell you why. So if you are taking a muscle to its deepest stretch and you are lengthening it as much as possible, and that is what sports scientists preach, then the Jefferson curl would be the perfect exercise for your spinal erector muscles, because you are taking them through a fully lengthened range of motion. Most people are going to be afraid to do this because their range of motion sucks, okay? And a lot of people, again, they're going to have that hesitancy to do it because of all the things they've heard in the past. But also, remember, back in the 80s, people were saying, don't let your knees come past your feet when you squat. That's going to ruin your knees. Now, it's true that when your knees go past your feet, you do put your knees under more load, but the body adapts to that load. So as long as you are doing gentle progressions to the point where your knees feel comfortable doing that, and it's not painful, you're going to have greater range of motion, you're going to have better development in your quads, and you're going to be less likely to injure your knees, because the body has been used to training the way that you're training them. Everybody is different. Everybody is different. Everybody is going to have different things that work for them. There's nothing wrong with that, you know. Some people are not going to be able to do certain things because of the way they are born, because of the injuries that they go through. But I would say in general, most people, if you use your own body weight to do a Jefferson curl, right? Just saying that you're doing that bent over hamstring stretch where you're trying to get your hands to touch your feet, right? Well, if your body is capable of doing that, then it is capable of doing that under load as well. In fact, when you do it under load, it actually takes you deeper through the stretch because the weight is actually carrying you downwards. So it increases your flexibility. Think about it like this. You do deadlifts all the time. You put your spine under heavy load, and you're never stretching your spine, you're never stretching your hamstrings. Guess what's going to happen? Those muscles get tighter and tighter and tighter, and then eventually something breaks and you get hurt. And why? Because you just didn't fucking work on your mobility. Duh. The Jefferson curl is an excellent exercise for me, and from what I've seen on the internet, for the people that use it properly, it's been a fantastic exercise for them as well. I'm not the only person who's gotten tremendous relief and benefits from doing the Jefferson curl. Since I've been incorporating it into my workouts, my deadlift has gone way up. Way up. I used to be the kind of guy that struggled doing 315 pounds for a deadlift. Now I can easily do over 400. You know, my max right now is 500. And I've only been training, seriously, doing deadlifts since January. Like 7 months. 7 months, that's it. Started with 315, now my max is 500. And you know why? Because I've been doing Jefferson curls, I've been doing HIIT workouts, high intensity workouts, not high intensity interval training workouts. Take that with you. And I've been stretching, working on my mobility, going through real deep ranges of motion, training to failure. I'm doing all the things I need to do, including having my nutrition on check. Except for Saturdays. That is when I eat a lot of cookies. Or just a lot of cheat meals in general. Look, folks, you don't have to agree with me if you don't want to agree with me. You can dislike this video if you don't like this video. But I'm just telling you from my personal experience, because I genuinely do want to help people, especially people who were in as much pain as I was. The Jefferson curl did wonders for my body. And it might do wonders for you too if you are going through a lot of pain. That doesn't mean that you do a Jefferson curl like me right away, where I'm doing with over 200 pounds. But you just start by seeing if you can get your hands to the floor. Can you start with thinking about the base or the top of your spine, tilting your chin down, coming all the way down, really getting that deep stretch in your back, and then coming all the way up, one vertebrae at a time. Do you have the mind-muscle connection to do that? If you do have the mind-muscle connection to do that, then you can start doing it with light dumbbells or a light barbell or a regular barbell with no plates, and then make the gentle progressions like you would with any fucking exercise. Any exercise. Did you start bench pressing 225 pounds right away for reps? No, you didn't. You started with 10-pound plates on each side like every kid does, and then you got stronger as you went on. The same logic applies with the Jefferson curl. People see me doing a Jefferson curl with a lot of weight and they're like, oh my God, he's gonna hurt himself. No, motherfucker, I started out light, just like every other fucking exercise I started training with. So look, folks, if you find this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe it. Maybe you know somebody who's going through a lot of pain. Tell them about my experience. Heck, I'll even message them. I got a lot of time on my hands. I don't mind talking to people. I'm also a Bucked Up ambassador, so I got Bucked Up discounts below. I'm an ATG ambassador, so if you like their equipment, if you follow the Knees Over Toes guy, I have discounts for you down below. I also have a discount for a company called D-Moose. They are pretty cool. They sell fitness equipment and fitness supplementation, so I got a discount for them. I'm also writing a book. I'm publishing it chapter by chapter. That actually deals with a little bit of my background and my experience in my youth. It's pretty edgy stuff. So if you want to read that for free, I have a bunch of websites where you can read it for free. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, follow me on Snapchat, MySpace. MySpace doesn't exist anymore. Folks, go work out, train through full ranges of motion, and I will see you again next time.